just imagine the last day of your life. I now saw both my parents dying. Mediocrity is the end. My standard introduction is, I'm Antonio, and no, my father does not have a pizzeria. You spend your life doing a job that you don't like, just because it's well paid.
Living a life of quiet desperation.
He made a pizza for her, and he gave her as a present, and a week later he asked her, and how did you like it? And she's, the cake was great, but it was a bit salty. This is what Germany is lacking, this kind of emotional intelligence, I would say. Now, with my own money, I have an idea and I get it done. My life is too short for this political bullshit. The worst thing I could imagine is having that last day with regrets about stuff I could have done. So the ideal goal of longevity is you die healthy.
Welcome back to Mastery Makers. Today I have a truly special guest, Antonio Brissa. Antonio has had one of those careers that are hard to put into a single box. He cut his teeth in the world of enterprise software and SaaS, working with some of the biggest names in the industry, including the Colossus SAP, and later stepped into the venture capital world with Early Birds, one of Europe's leading VC firms. But Antonio is also an entrepreneur at heart, and he co-founded ASPRIVA, a science-based longevity and wellness company based in Heidelberg, Germany, that is now making waves across Europe. In short, he knows what it means to build things from the inside of a big corporation, and he knows what it means to build things from scratch. And today, we get to learn from both of those experiences. Please enjoy. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. I really was looking forward to do this. Let's start with from the very beginning. Growing up in Germany from an Italian family, a family of, I would say philosophers, but philosophy, a family full of, deep thinking, in one of the world capitals of philosophy and thought. How was it?
Well, how was it? Actually, my mother was German, and she was an interpreter. So for her life was international. So she was she was a lot on the road. Yeah. While my father worked at the University at Heidelberg. So both were very intellectually very strong, I would say. So this means how they grew up. I've got a brother. Mm-hmm. The children was basically based on a very simple approach. Just let them be, no constraints. So basically a lot of freedom, something that actually as a child I loved to have. Yeah. Unfortunately, my performance in school was not really in line because obviously when you have parents who just say, okay, they will do their thing, they will find their way. It's obvious that it's different than today's parenthood, where you really have an organization about schools and then you have music classes. So in that case, it was mostly like total freedom. Yeah. This is obviously something that caused also some problems because sometimes it's easier for children to really have a framework and to really get an understanding of how certain things are more important than others. But on the other hand, I think it just took some time to understand the value of it, right? Yeah. So this means, with all this kind of
no helicopter parenting for you.
The total opposite, in fact. Yeah, the total it was great on one hand, but on the other hand, obviously, I could have saved a lot of troubles during school time with just a bit more of focus on topics. Yes. But both parents were extraordinary students, simply out of, I would say, top notch in all the aspects. So they literally said it would be socially unfair if our children's, no, really, remember, we are talking about 68, something like that. those were the days, Vietnam, Germany, you still had a very, very strong revolution in terms of student revolution against all the former Nazis in all the organizations. So there was really something going on in Germany, and the idea, especially the Marxist idea and the communist idea, were very diffused. So it was about really, literally, I always said it was a joke, but it would have been a social disadvantage compared to the working class.
Yes.
If we would have received more support. So, I mean, this is intellectual freedom for sure. But at the end, I mean, there is no best practice, I would say. Since we also have 2 children grown up, there is no blueprint.
Definitely. And your father was a philosopher and a professor.
Yeah. So basically...
a fairly famous one as well.
No, actually, I don't know. The main topic was he unfortunately passed away 3 years ago. So, and as I think it's also part of normal family life, especially if you're the son. The relationship to your father is always a bit difficult.
Yeah.
I don't know, challenging sometimes, but on the other hand, he never really made a big story, a fuss out of what he was doing. Absolutely, total opposite. In fact, he did not even really follow a career path in university. He really, literally did not care about achieving certain things. He was totally into his work. And yes, I mean, he grew up in Milan, was born in Domodossola, and then moved around because his father, also Antonio Brissa, he was commissario prefettizio, so basically in charge of certain cities like Cortina d'Ampezzo, and then he became questore in Milano. So, and they lived in Milan, and where my father was really exposed to philosophy, deep dive. And we are talking about an age where, in my case, I was playing mostly rugby, watching some TV series and having fun with my friends. At that stage, my father mostly had already published the first article. So, and we discovered, or actually learned about all of that now post-mortem, so to say. This is part of ignorance. That is just part of normal life.
Yeah.
But yes, he was extraordinary in everything he did. So he was deeply influenced by Giulio Preti, who was his intellectual father, so to say. So he was following his passions, totally focusing on things like philosophy, ideas of critical thinking. He did a lot of translations. Also, he translated a work of Ernst Bloch to Italian. I mean, this was a household where philosophy was daily business. But you, as a child, honestly, you simply did not...
It went over your head.
No, you did not. I mean, there was Jürgen Habermas sitting here on our couch at home on a Saturday, and other people. And I mean, honestly, for us, it was just... we would have appreciated famous soccer players more. I mean, it's just part of a childhood, right?
It's pretty amazing, though. Can you remember some of the? Well, you remember some of the names of the great philosophers that were passing through your house at the time?
No, I prefer really to focus on what I'm really an expert on. Because the topic is, I mean, I can make name dropping or whatever, but there's some good stuff published about my father and his work. But at the end, this is way beyond my pay grade, so to say, intellectually speaking.
Yeah, of course.
So it would be I would have some kind of bad feeling now making a deep dive into philosophy. But from now, we read more and more of his articles. Sometimes we just, he read a lot of books, and he read actually a lot of news articles about the books. But instead of really organizing them, he just and those were the days where you really had a typewriter.
Yes.
Right. So now, when we had to revise the total number of books, we suddenly found a lot of papers directly into the book where he typed right his article about that book. So, and therefore, there are still many, many things to learn over the next couple of years. So there's a relevant archive. So we will make everything to make sure that it's not going to be lost, because obviously this is the downside when somebody dies, right? Mm-hmm. This was one of the first thoughts. I mean, the extraordinary knowledge he had accumulated. Just imagine, like, as I said, you grow up, you focus solely on reading books. Your father is already some kind of a very intellectual person. So you are not wasting your time on comic series, TV, total zero. Just imagine that, and you invest all that time in literally reading books.
Yeah.
This is what he did. So even he died...
To the point that you end up now living into the everyday world, almost. You live in a
absolutely. I mean, that's part. You deep dive.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no middle way. So either you are excellent and you do what you are passionate about, and this is what I believe also I indirectly learned from both of them.
Yeah.
Or you just let it go, because the worst thing is mediocrity. I mean, honestly, mediocrity is the end.
Why?
Yeah, because you are never able to achieve a satisfaction level where you are really saying, okay, now I'm making a difference. Because mediocrity just leads to, depression would be an exaggeration, but somehow you will never be at the position. I mean, just imagine the last day of your life.
Yeah.
I now saw both my parents dying. So just imagine we both will face that day someday, hopefully many, many years to come. But the worst thing I could imagine is having that last day with regrets about stuff I could have done. This is not a motivational bullshit sentence, but it's just a matter of fact. I mean, that would be really, and just imagine you spend your life doing a job that you don't like, just because it's well paid.
Living a life of quiet desperation.
Exactly, frustration. Okay, so and I went through that also for a couple of years. Great, well-paid job, amazing role, whatever. But at the end, total desperation, total sense of uselessness.
Yeah.
So the thing is, therefore, the key question is, I believe, really to have that intellectual interest. And again, he did the things he did for, he did a lot of cultural work also. Just imagine, he went to Germany in 1955, okay?
From Italy.
From Zurich. So his path was, he finished a university in Pavia with excellent votes, was promoted then by the professor to a first job.
Yeah.
And like my father was, he was not really making a career plan, because again, career was not part of his game plan. He wanted to do the stuff he's interested in. And somehow he received an invitation from the University of Heidelberg for a first job. And I mean, like you said, Heidelberg was becoming the capital
of philosophy of Europe, for lack of a better word.
For sure. And he went there in 55. And 55, Germany, I mean, it's just 10 years after the war. And this is just a crazy time, if you imagine, because his parents, his father was a famous anti-fascist. He was actually really imprisoned also for that. Actually, same story on my mother's side.
Yeah.
So, and they really suffered under the German regime in Italy. They had to leave Cortina d'Ampezzo, where he was in charge. So they went back to Cannobio and Lago Maggiore, where they basically supported the Resistenza. Yeah. So, and with all that story about the horrible things that happened there, and there are really some horrible things that are worthwhile to actually, I always say that should be something for Netflix one day. But with all these horrible things that happened there, done by Germans there and their soldiers, he really went then to Germany 10 years after the war.
Totally.
I mean, as an Italian, he already spoke some German because he had studied a year in Zurich. But he stayed there, and one fun story was that his cleaning woman one day received from him a pizza. So my father really, he was quite well-handed in the kitchen. And imagine, 1955, 56, he made a pizza for her. And he gave her as a present. And a week later, he asked her, and how did you like it? And she said, the cake was great, but it was a bit salty. So I mean, just imagine. For today, it's just imagine. Everybody, pizza is everywhere.
Yeah.
So you go into Germany as an Italian, where Italians were basically only used to as workers.
Yeah, totally. They
or
were
like the
factory workers.
Immigrants. Therefore, my standard introduction is, I'm Antonio. And no, my father does not have a pizzeria. So just to say this.
Totally.
Yeah. So, but again, with all that passion, you come to Heidelberg University, and then you just discover your own space, and you at some day you're pension.
That's quite, and you made me think about something quite interesting, because on paper you couldn't have two cultures that are more different than Italian and German in many ways, but then in other ways they're complementary and they like each other quite a bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they attract each other to some extent. Why do you think is that?
Well, it's a long story, and actually an interesting one, because you see, it's a question of love and respect, and I don't know where this is coming from, but in fact, it's a difficult kind of relationship. And for example, in Germany, Italy or Italians had the image, for whatever reason, to be lazy.
Yeah.
And I'm really getting upset about that, because, I mean, when we started the Italian business for another company, and I stayed there for 8 years roughly, what we realized there with our organization was a total outperformance in terms of whatever in Milan is happening. So people work like hell. I mean, at the same time in Germany, the office was already empty. Mm-hmm. So I don't know where these stories come from, but I mean, on the other side, Italy is the preferred destination of Germans.
Yes.
Let's keep it clear. It's everybody understands this is a sacred place, so to say. And Germans, on the other side, in Italy, have the reputation of being organized, structured, perfect. Mm-hmm. But today, I have to say, unfortunately, we have swapped the situation. Like let's say 20 years ago, Alitalia was the example of a failed airplane.
Yes.
Right? I mean, honestly, you were not allowed to even book flights business-wise, because you were never sure on time or is it going to fly. German trains were the example of perfectionism, punctuality, everything. Today, it's completely really swapped. Lufthansa today is what Alitalia has been 20 years ago. Alitalia is today what Lufthansa has been. Traveling by train in Italy is a dream come true.
It is a dream come true.
Especially with the private offering, but also in the public offering. It's a dream come true. It's last time I went to Milan, for example, I had to travel to Zurich for another meeting the next day. And obviously I take the train. It's a beautiful ride, right? From Milan to Zurich, it's just marvelous. So I'm at the Stazione, and I'm looking at the dashboard of all the trains, and I literally see not one single delay. So I took a photograph, and say, look, whoever sees the same thing in a major German train station gets a free lunch. And so basically, we are not that different, right? On the other side.
That's where I wanted to get. I think it's, and we're not that different across Europe. I think it's worthwhile trying to continue to fight for this European Union thing that we have. It doesn't work. It's full of problems. And I don't think that's the solution either. But I think it's wonderful being an Italian who has been living abroad almost half his life to see how many similarities and how many sort of dots you can link in between the countries, between France, between Italy, between Switzerland, between Spain. And yeah, we're kind of the same people, just with slightly different idiosyncratic traits, I would say.
Yeah, but I mean, let's keep it clear. I mean, I'm Italian. I have also Italian nationality. So whenever I travel, and wherever you are, in the US, in the UK, wherever, and you meet other Italians, let's be in a restaurant or whatever, an Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
What you experience there is something that in a German context will never, ever happen globally.
Yeah.
Because the passion, this openness, and this is something that is so precious that I believe is, therefore, the perfect symbiosis. This is what Germany is lacking, this kind of emotional intelligence, I would say. If you are in Italy, you can fight, you can be angry, you can... in fact, my experience was when we built the Italian subsidiary, it was a lot more efficient making business with Italian companies, Italian CEOs, than in Germany. Although the companies might have been smaller in size, that's as a matter of fact, but they are nevertheless global leaders in their areas. But the big difference is because they are mainly owner-driven, you don't find a bureaucracy. So you go there, if you have a compelling business case, you enter into a discussion, and you are not going to waste time and time and time, because either you find a common ground or not. In Germany, on the other hand, my experience was basically it's always brought on a strategic level, love to discuss things, over-engineer this decision-making, always talking about major deals then, but unfortunately most of them never materialize because you spend 3 years. In the time you already have closed in Italy 20 deals with smaller organizations, but that are already ramping up. So I think the ideal combination is really this Italian flexibility and mindset and creativity.
Best of both worlds,
with the German organization when it works.
Big time. So you had a pretty amazing career and sort of to some extent quite eclectic, because you went from, being an operator to being an investor to being a founder. You did these things in different orders. You were very much into the weeds of SaaS, software as a service. Then now you're focused on the main topic that we're going to discuss today, which is longevity with your new venture. Take me a bit through sort of the early beginnings of your professional endeavors and what sort of brought you to start the way you did, whether it was just by chance, whether it was deliberate.
Okay, so somehow it was literally saying today, if you look back in the mirror, a lot of coincidences, because obviously the first challenge was to find something that really was motivating me into really wasting my time or spending my time at university, right? So I did that, and actually, fun fact was I selected to a program with an international university because they had a multi-language approach.
Yes.
And a very structured framework where you exactly had 4 years. Either you did it or you were out. Exactly my environment. So otherwise, so no ability to lose your time to really get it done or leave. And the international part literally comes from my mother because she was an interpreter, as I said, and she was really amazing in her job in terms of she literally translated most Russian leaders until Gorbachev, so to say. And so I had the chance to travel with her also globally. And I really loved this international environment at organizations like, Global Post-Universe Organization or United Nations, you name it. So you go there as a 14-year-old and you see multi-languages, people discussing status quo topics. And so it really something extraordinary appealing to me. So I said, okay, this is really something I would love to do with the ability to speak different languages and to interact. So that was the basis hypothesis. So it was not even the thinking about, oh no, I want to do business administration. So but with all honesty, business administration was some kind of a fallback position to say, okay, it's interesting, combined with the languages. So I started that path. After 2 years, you had to specialize. And obviously, the only really topic that got my interest was corporate finance.
Yeah.
Because that was really something like, it was structured, logical somehow, mathematical also. So basically you have analytical models. How great is it basically to discount cash flows, to understand what is really the long-term value of a company. And actually part of that, I studied also 1 year abroad, 1 term in the US. And actually I did an internship at a asset manager. And I was so in love with the topic so that I asked them whether I could do the stockbroker license.
The Series 7.
Exactly, Series 7 and 63.
Yeah.
So while others might have traveled to the Grand Canyon or so I said, no, I really wanted to do that Series 7. I just really wanted to become really a certified stockbroker.
And you were in New York? Or
No, in that case, San Diego.
Very
San Diego.
good. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, San Diego. So I really did that to the max. And instead of doing a summer break, I really did my Series 7 and 63 exam for the legal part. So, and I was really ready to start doing business. Unfortunately, I was not ready finish with my university yet. So I said, okay, nevertheless, I will now finish my education at university, focusing on corporate finance. And afterwards, I will find my career in banking and whatever. And at the end of the day, I really fell in love with these models, evaluation models, option pricing models. And this was really, really a great starting point.
Yeah.
So my first job was basically then in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Those were the golden days of, it's called Neuer Markt in Germany. Literally the technology approach, the first approach to copycat Nasdaq in Germany.
We're talking early 2000.
Yes, 2000, literally 2000, yeah. So, and the topic was basically that the valuations were so high on Neuer Markt with so much inflation and so much that Israeli companies love to float their initial public offerings in Neuer Markt because the multiples were a lot higher than on Nasdaq.
Sounds like a story that I heard already.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. History repeating. So, and again, great coincidence. My dear friend Sasha and he basically, we went also together to university in San Diego and Milan later.
Yeah.
And he was the guy who called me, hey, look, Antonio, we got here a great team with a cool captain, so to say. Why don't you want to meet him one day and see whether this could be of interest to you to join our small organizations. That was a stockbroker that basically decided, obviously, because of the heydays in Neue Markt, now let's not only do stockbroking, but also let's do the deals. So, and I met him, a fun meeting at the airport in Frankfurt, and again, a coincidence. We did not even talk about salaries. I just said, okay, I'm in. That's it, because he was so convincing and he ticked all the right boxes. He was not the bullshit seller, we are the biggest. No, he was totally focused, analytical, say, look, we want to do this and this and this. This is my idea. Are you in? Okay, so I went into finance with the Neue Market. And then since the Israelis were really an interesting area, our focus was really bringing Israeli companies public, small mid-cap. Small mid-cap, very interesting, ideally combined with a pre-IPO investment so that you really can have... Exactly, you know the game. So
you get the bump up.
Exactly. So extraordinary team, great success also. And we went a lot of time to Tel Aviv and met a lot of extraordinary entrepreneurs. And I think that was also another coincidence because I literally fell in love with how those people, most of them, were really doing business.
It's pretty unique, the ecosystem in Israel.
Exactly.
And the sense of urgency that people have there.
No, and focus, and leave out the bullshit. Yeah. Obviously, if you have never negotiated with an Israeli company, you have never negotiated.
Yeah, never negotiated.
So exactly. If you have, that's the simple. But on the other hand, I have the utmost respect for what those guys are doing there. And we really had an extraordinary network. But again, as always in life, some things happen then that are not foreseen, and that was the bubble bursted of the Neue Market. And in the meantime, I was in charge of an investment also because again, pre-IPO investment was the idea for future growth. And since I've been in charge of that investment of one of the portfolio companies, it was a situation where it was really literally struggling, obviously, because at that point in time, money was gone. More or less like this right now. If you are now a VC or funded company and pre-cash flow, you are having a difficult time getting in the next round.
Very much
right?
so.
So same storybook, exactly same thing. So basically, the company had a great concept, great idea, but now talking 20 years or 25 years later, it was way too early. You know these automated parcel systems where you get, when you order something, you are not at home, but you get your parcel into the locker system.
Yeah.
And exactly. This is what we developed in 2002 already with a prototype with a leading mail order company, Otto Versand in Germany. But way too early and also missing some critical parts of the business model. Yeah. So suddenly I see myself now being in charge of the operations of that organization. So I'm leaving my analytical financial chair, forced to move into an operational role. And that role was, we need to find a way to either get more money or sell the company.
Yes.
Yeah. So I had a lot of meetings, international meetings with mostly all postal organizations in Europe. And at the end, we have been able to sell the company to another competitor. But having said that, I mean, again, like life is, and this is, there was no major game plan. But in that context, with this operational role, I was in contact with a headhunter because obviously we tried to find people for the organization. And whatever coincidence it was, the company was sold. I was literally off because the finance business was dying literally. I got a call from the headhunter and said, look, hey, we met here and for that. I got here an interesting case. It's a company, they are doing software and technology. And I said, well, that's not really my game, but I'm always curious because I love business models, right?
Yes.
The most interesting thing is for me to understand value chains. What is really the value, business context, whatever. So I said, okay, let's, actually I think we met on a Saturday. So I met with the founding team there. 4 people, I believe, I do remember. And we stayed there for the full afternoon and discussed things. And they were looking for someone who was basically repeating what I did with the Dropbox business. Not Dropbox.com, but Dropbox24 was the name. So basically operationalize the business, internationalize it.
Yes.
And I said, well, okay, I need to think about it. And at the end, it was basically, I would say, one of the very first software as a service companies that basically provided integration service between companies on a software as a service contract level. So instead of buying an application, you were able to subscribe to the service. And for example, a standard case, we did a lot of automotive. You integrated your suppliers through our platform into your purchasing and procurement systems and also production system for just in time, so that you get basically the electronic data interchange, but not as an application with a team. And that was really very appealing, because obviously integrated companies, amazing thing. Obviously value chains are complex. And in most industries, if you are not able to really integrate your value chains, you're not going to be here for a long time. So, and that's then when the journey started with the company. And I mean, again, suddenly I find myself in an operational role. Actually, literally even talking about a business development sales role. Because, you're now once again talking with C-level executives of big organizations, but not as a sales pitch, but purely on a business model pitch.
Yes.
So look, these are the KPIs, this is the value, this is the service level agreement, take it or leave it, but this is the approach. And then, once again, luck comes in, the financial crisis.
2008.
Yeah, exactly. Severely hit, led, basically for us, first we were a bit shocked, not knowing what was really coming up. But at the same time, very quickly, we realized that it was really an extraordinary opportunity. Because suddenly, in organizations, the IT department was mostly always autonomous. So, because realistically, on the C-level, nobody understands technology, in those days at least. So you have some guys there, mostly here closed in a room, sometimes without windows, some computers, and they do the job. That was the concept of IT, simplifying, okay? So you mostly are not, as a managing director or a CEO, going to them and say, look, you need to replace that, because they are making sure that it works. But with the financial crisis, the pressure on the profitability was so strong that you were forced to cut costs. So, and marketing is always the first thing, right? Because anyhow, most organizations are not even able to show the value of marketing really on a balance sheet, really literally saying what is the KPI. But therefore, it's always cut first, marketing. Second, now in that case was, okay, we also need to find ways to cut our IT costs. And that was the opportunity for us to say, look, here's the opportunity. Get rid of the application you have right now. We migrate on our service. These are the monthly costs. These are the additional costs. So basically like Netflix today, yeah?
Totally.
Today sounds ridiculous, but imagine in those years, cloud was far away from being available.
Yeah.
Nobody talked cloud. Nobody even talked about software as a service. You talked about managed services. So and that really led to the fact that Stefan, who was the CEO, said, okay, Antonio, what you're doing here with the team is something that is really working fine. Let's do something. Let's start our very first international subsidiary. And since I already worked on international accounts, like, for example, Brembo was already a very first customer on the horizon. So
the Italian car brakes company, the best in the world.
amazing company, and I mean, it's just one of them. This again, I'm really getting passionate about those companies because if you visit them and
it's amazing, the Chilometro Rosso.
Exactly, we are talking about a time where the Chilometro Rosso wasn't
there, right? Because
exactly.
That was 08, whatever.
But it's one of the amazing brands. Like
it's extraordinary.
Yeah, so you see, and they said, okay, let's do it, and we went really literally. I went to Milan with my family first, myself, and went. I think it was a Regus office, yeah, and alone in a room said, okay, now we start an operation again. So this was somehow again coincidence because not that I'm now purely operational, but somehow you would call this entrepreneur in residence today, right? So you say, do a project.
Yeah.
For me, I said, okay, I do. Let's get there. And what do we need now to scale this Italian approach? So obviously we need people, right? Yeah. So from empty office space, and then you really start to engage with people. At the end, creating a team that you feel comfortable about, that it is able to perform, and this was obviously a total different experience, creating something from scratch.
Yeah,
but again, not for my business, but for our organization. And since that worked so well, I mean, we grow substantially, and I think we celebrate. There's also some public documents available after 5 years. I mean, how many customers we had, but it was a substantial, like Bulgari, Luxottica, Olivetti. I focused a lot of the global brand names.
But those are pretty good brands, Bulgari, Luxottica.
Yeah, because the idea was obviously behind we need lighthouse accounts for our overall story.
Yes,
because
course.
Obviously we already had now in the meantime a first investor.
Yeah.
Major investor. So now we needed to create the equity story for the next stage, right?
Absolutely.
So we need lighthouse accounts. I mean, there's no better place than Italy to find brand names like Alessi, for example. Was also one of our beloved customers.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, and you really acquire them not because they are substantial organizations like €1 billion of revenue, but because they are organizations that are extraordinarily focused in excellent in their segment.
So you spoke about creating teams.
Yeah.
And you're a lifelong, I don't know, but you played rugby for a long time. You're a rugby player.
14 years.
14 years, a very passionate rugby player. How did playing rugby informed your capacity to build teams?
I mean, everybody talks about we are a team, we act as a team. Let's do some team building events, some bullshit offsites where people jump out of the window, whatever, together, whatever.
Yeah,
it's all good, all great, and sometimes really it can really make a difference when you have the need for relationships, because what most organizations lack are really is the trust level between the people.
Totally.
So when you play rugby, I mean, again, also this is now in looking back in the mirror, and again, ignorance of youth. I started playing with the age of 6 years. Okay, so and we played in one team. I stayed with one team, and so we were fairly competitive. Won 5 times the German championship. Traveled a lot. So it was one really team. So this means you understand the team is. Everybody says every team is only as good as the weakest player. But in rugby, it's exactly that. If you are not trained well, because you have no protection, right? Although, if you see rugby players today, I mean, I wished we would have been able to train like that in the past, because now you have obviously a total different setup. But we trained twice a week and played once. So there was we did our best, I believe. But so if you are not making sure that you are personally fit, and you are not really making sure at the end in the game to become a true team player by focusing on the team goal, in rugby you will not survive.
Yeah.
Because rugby, everybody has his role, but every role is totally important. There is no role that is more important. There are some roles that are more public because the flankers and stuff. I mean, people who make the points most of the times. But again, of those 15 people, all of them matter. Whereas in soccer, you sometimes have these prima ballerina types who do crazy goals. In rugby, there is nobody doing crazy goals. Let's say it's really suffering and also accepting pain, but at the end, enjoying also victories. And actually, looking back in the mirror, I would still say that I never had more glorious moments of satisfaction than with a team winning or post-win. Every business deal, everything is totally on a different level. So the biggest thing about, and I believe rugby is there's no other team sport globally available that is even close to rugby in terms of physical engagement, in terms of speed, in terms of strategy, but in terms of a real team play. So the long answer is basically I believe you learn to understand that the team is composed of people who are equally important. But everybody at the same time needs to understand that he is in the situation that he must be at his best or her best. Let's say it like this. If you have team players who are not acting on their best, they are literally endangering your team.
Yeah.
Business-wise, exactly the same. If you have lazy, let's say, I mean, it's difficult to be so passionate about everything as maybe I am, but what you cannot accept is having people in a team who just lack the respect for excellence in certain areas.
Yeah.
So either they understand it, why this is critical, and this is not over. You see, there's sometimes the misconception, better done than perfect. Yeah, there's great motivational bullshits, but at the end, there are certain areas where you are not.
You have to excel.
You need to be on a different level.
Yes.
And these can be like minor things like a newsletter.
Yes.
I mean, a newsletter is the way how you jump into the face of a customer. So you don't want to be the one who is wasting the time because it's not clear. That is ugly to see, but it's a one-time opportunity for an impression, right? Sounds ridiculous, but this is just an example. So in rugby, it's like the same. So if you are not really working at your best, and this is not obviously comparable to a newsletter, but at the end of the day, you must understand that you will be sitting on the bench. And this is no hard feelings. I mean, this is part of everyday's life. So either you are at your best or you accept that you need to change.
100%. And I guess on this note, on the note of changing and being at your best, I think we should start talking about longevity. Yeah,
exactly. So actually, sorry to interrupt you, to close the technology discussion, because the story ended like being acquired by SAP, 2011, I believe. 2011. And then a couple of years of misery, because although I had an extraordinary role globally as senior vice president in one area of the cloud organization, my existence was there really the total Armageddon compared to who I am. So
because again, sorry to jump, let's taking a step back. Your company got acquired by SAP.
Yes, not mine. No, so I was just part of the management team.
You were part of the management, senior leadership.
Exactly,
let's say. Your company had how many employees?
We were 270, roughly 270. Then within SAP, 300, roughly globally.
About 300. And you got acquired by a company that had how many employees?
At that point in time, we were 60,000.
60,000.
Yeah, 60,000. Yeah. But, and this is the core thing, it was acquired as part of the cloud strategy.
Yeah.
That was completely brand new. And actually, my hopes were extraordinarily high when SAP also acquired SuccessFactors.
Mm-hmm.
managed by Lars Dahlgaard, whom I also met. And when I had the chance to chat with him to see how he was passionate about cloud, I thought really that could become a great story within SAP, because you have an extraordinary install base. Everybody has value chain problems, challenges, or opportunities, whatever how you phrase it. So that sounds like a great approach towards global growth. But reality, again, like always, I mean, things happen differently sometimes. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I was globally then in charge for the organization, reporting to the board, to one member of the board. But after some changes, it was just a very frustrating situation where, just imagine, you build something together with others. It gets acquired. From my point of view today, unfortunately, because things that could have gone completely different. But again, this is life. You need to accept some things, right?
Yes.
But with all the passion you have in the people who trust you, you find yourself suddenly in a situation where today you are told one thing. And obviously, in town hall meetings globally, I mean, we had the offices even in Asia. I mean, you talk to the people, say, look, this is the strategy. Everything is going to be fine. We are on track. Don't worry. The day after, you get the total opposite message. And I said, guys, my life is too short for this political bullshit.
Yeah.
But this is part, I mean, if you are in such mega organizations, politics become the leading topic.
Yes.
So having said that, I mean, I was in charge there. I was forced to stay as part of the post-merger integration deal for 2 years, and I stayed there a bit longer, but then got back to square one, said, look, now I understand operations. Now finance, one thing. Operations, second thing. Third thing is I have built an organization myself, not my company, but for others, quite successfully. I've managed it globally quite successfully. Now, with my own money, I have an idea and I get it done. So that was started in 2014. So, and therefore, again, I really moved into a situation of solo entrepreneur, so to say, in terms of my money, my idea, my concept. And obviously, again, luck is always important. You get in touch with a great developer and a great developer team, and you are able to materialize this development. So, and the long story is still, the company Pensake still exists today. Again, way too early, but because right now, in this moment in time, interestingly enough, more and more organizations understand the value of its services. But then came COVID.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very difficult time for me personally, because obviously with two parents, elderly parents, you are very worried. Worried about your children, your health. So I dig really very deep into that topic, having also more time because, I mean, lockdown.
The topic being longevity.
No, longevity came in 21. But I mean, the topic was more or less health. Generally health, because obviously you start, remember those were the days where every day a new idea came about how to prepare yourself better or protect yourself.
Yeah, of course.
So I read of a lot of bullshit, nonsense, whatever. So,
crazy.
Exactly. But if you've got the time and the interest, you can research and So, but then in 2021, my dear friend Chris, who is now here also my business partner, he had this book. Received from the doctor of his father, who is also, I mean, he's an extraordinary example of longevity, so to say. He lives the longevity life. And said, hey, look, my father thinks this is a great book. What do you think? And so have a read. And I ordered it, basically. And that was David Sinclair's book.
Yes.
So, again, we are talking about 2021. you have the time, you have the interest, and you suddenly see that apart from your general healthy lifestyle, doing exercise roughly an hour a day and stuff, there are things in addition that could be valuable to bring you on I call it road to longevity. So literally at the end, you find yourself in the situation where I say, okay, it's interesting. So and then you find an online service like examine.com, great service I can highly recommend to subscribe, where they are also providing you with the possibility to dig deep into details with regards to certain supplements.
Yes.
Yeah, because obviously the scientific framework for longevity is composed of 3 levels. The first level is or are behavioral tools. I mean, sleep optimization is one, regular checkups, emotional health, social relationships, all the so-called free basics, you could say, with nighttime routines. I mean, there are things that you just need to understand and to incorporate in your daily life, and you are able to benefit from it today, right? You don't need to buy maybe actually nothing. I would recommend buying some tracking device, but you can do. This is the basics of everything. So if you are not really exercising, moving your body, sweating a couple of times a week, if you are not checking those boxes, don't waste your time on what comes next. Next level is nutrition, diet. So it's not about one.
So it's basically saying if you're not, let's say, sleeping well, if you're not exercising a bit, if you're not, what else? Sort of doing these basics, then going, it's sort of, it's the foundation that you have to lay.
It's the foundational tools.
Don't bother getting into, being monomaniacally focused on what you eat and the supplements and all that stuff.
Exactly, absolutely.
Fascinating.
Okay, diet, for sure. I mean, diet is one important part, obviously.
If you go every day to McDonald's, probably you're not. Any fast food, we're going to cut McDonald's.
Yeah, but you can go whatever. Sometimes I even might get a burger. That's not the topic. The topic is about regularity.
Yeah.
And therefore, there is no perfect diet.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, being Italian, I have to say it's always the Italian diet. The Mediterranean diet is it comes closest to
balanced.
Yeah, the balanced.
Variegated.
But the worst thing today is all the prepared meals.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the main problem. But that's a topic by itself. So the question is not being vegan. For example, my daughter is vegan, unfortunately, because from a health perspective, there is no benefit being vegan. Mm-hmm. From emotional point of view, I fully understand it. Animals, totally get it.
Yeah.
But health-wise, zero benefit. The benefit comes in with the vegetarian diet. Yeah, that I can understand.
There's plenty of literature, especially from the sort of Vedic Indian millenary tradition that sort of supports vegetarianism.
Yeah,
but veganism, not to my knowledge, not really.
And the beauty is you can literally feel it by yourself.
Yeah.
Because everybody is different.
Yeah.
Our organism is completely so complex. Let's get back one step. Number one, we know little things still today with all the scientific evolution, everything.
Mm-hmm.
What we know is still very limited. Mm-hmm. So especially for nutrition, it's always based on analysis of populations level. Yeah, so it's interesting to make some preliminary conclusions and to avoid maybe substantial mistakes, but there's no guarantee. Yeah, so the topic is extreme diets are most likely not a smart strategy because again the body is so complex and we need so many different nutrients. Extreme diets focus on certain nutrients and leaving out others can severely bring severe problems. So the second level is basically, let's say, a balanced diet. Nothing less, nothing more. But it's something that is really based on fresh prepared meals. And if you can get once a week also a frozen pizza. but honestly, this is no nutrition, so I would rather recommend fasting and leaving out eating at all at dinner. Perfect.
Fasting how? Like intermittent fasting or like full day of fasting?
So the topic is also there. There is extraordinary difficult to really come up to the sole conclusion of what is ideal. Again, on my personal level, I know what's best for me. And I have no clock running saying, now you are able to eat. Because if you do that, you are guaranteed to fail. Because this is not a practical routine. So sometimes I like to do water fasting for 3-5 days, only water. But that's just again, never do that without talking to your doctor before. For me personally, it's amazing because I did it once, very first time. It was quite a sufferance actually for the first 24 hours. But what you see then is how much energy your body produces without further nutrition. Obviously, again, this is not meant to be done for more than 6 days. And again, never without talking to your doctor first.
100%.
But in my personal experience, I've never slept better. Yeah, I still exercise, total exercise program, an hour a day. In fact, an amazing experience. And you see a clarity of mind. It's just, I don't know how to explain it. It's just something I really highly recommend doing after having spoken to your doctor. But I would not do that on a regular basis. And I would not believe that this is a way to longevity.
100%. It's more of a way to cleanse your body and your mind and sort of, find extra energy or extra focus, sort of more productivity. Would you say that?
Yeah, you see, cleansing is always is this wellness marketing topic.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'm
if
using that
exactly.
what I hear, right?
Yeah, you're right. The topic is I don't believe that there's really cleansing. Yes, there's for sure a benefit when your intestine is completely empty and clean. This is for sure. And it shows you, again, how important it is what you put in. The most important lesson, I believe, from fasting is that it makes easier for you to switch your nutritional habits because then you understand, oh wow, that's amazing how my body acts. Maybe I should focus more on getting more vegetables, and then you now with ChatGPT and stuff, you can really understand how to restart your nutrition again.
Yeah.
But intermittent fasting, there are people who love it, others not. I personally, for example, mostly never have breakfast. Not because I don't want it, but simply because if I have a dinner, I simply still feel fine in the morning.
Yeah.
I just drink coffee. Is this the healthy approach towards longevity? I honestly don't know, but I feel good. And that's fine for me.
Yeah.
You see? So, and that's the second chunk is really fairly difficult, and I would refrain from believing any miracle diets. The problem, especially if you talk about losing weight, there's one diet that's very simple: eat less than you basically burn.
Yeah. that makes quite a bit of sense.
So,
why do you think that now, at least over the last few years, there's been this explosion of interest for longevity?
Yeah, so the topic is, now we come to the third level. And this is also the supplements chunk.
Yes.
In addition to that. And obviously, I believe one of the main driver of this, as I said, when we started in 21 with the concept and the idea, we had the challenge, or I personally had the challenge. Okay, there are supplements who are could be extraordinarily valuable.
Yeah.
At least from minor clinical effects. Or for health, for immune function, for digestion, for mood. Actually, the first formulation was about mood. For sleep without melatonin. There are things that are clinically, so to say, proven, although actually food supplements are not allowed to be clinically valid, but there are studies who clearly demonstrate that there are effects. But on the other hand, with all your knowledge now, for example, by using a service like examine.com, finding those perfect supplements is somehow a mission impossible. So, and that was the starting hypothesis for starting ASPRIVA. So the idea was, okay, why is it so extraordinarily difficult to bring up or to create an own routine solely based on what is at least with minimum clinical effects valid for my potential support? Why do I find strange dosages, strange ingredients, anti-caking agents, stuff I don't want to like, all this stuff? Why is it so difficult?
Yeah.
So, and that was basically the reason why I started the first discussions with really experts in Germany about nutrition and supplements. And to my total surprise, I really was perceived as a person with an interesting topic, because I'm not an expert. So the first thing I do is I talk to experts, and if they confirm my hypothesis,
yes.
I will spend more time. I mostly try not to waste my time on things that are not valid. So the thing is, we were not talking about longevity in those days. So we were only talking about now, being in those days, myself just crossed the 50 years barrier. You are getting much more, let's say your process of self-reflection is very strong.
Yeah.
So you see yourself basically more fragile, because if you're young, you're stupid and you do enjoy your life.
Yeah.
You have whatever, make your experiences. Yeah? You do not think about tomorrow, hopefully, because if you do, you will not really live your life. But the older you get, you are more and more in the situation where you literally are facing death. Yeah, so
it's getting closer.
Yeah, it's inevitable. So the topic is, obviously we are always great at leaving it outside the room, but it's inevitable. And when you are 50, statistically speaking, you are already way beyond the half path of your life. You're entering at least the second path. So, and at that point, you are, I think, at least some people, I think most of them who had some kind of a career path before, who, I'm not talking about biohacking, but I'm talking about people who are really think that their body and their health is precious.
Yeah.
So with that mindset, you are literally forced to think about ways to extend the number of healthy years. Suddenly it's longevity. Why is it so hyped as a topic? I think it's a combination of, first of all, now we are, thanks to technology again, able to track certain parameters.
Yes.
Like, for example, the Oura Ring for sleep, or the Apple Watch for just general,
the patch.
The continuous glucose monitoring, whatever this is helpful for if you are healthy. But the topic is, there are ways to create data points.
Yeah.
On the other hand, are all the data points really necessary or really relevant for your health? To be questioned. A topic for itself. But again, there's the ability to measure stuff. And then also on the scientific way, you are able to measure more with regard to your health status, combined with some crazy positive news from the science world, where the life of mice has been extended by 20%, 30%, whatever, that gets transported in the media globally. Then you have some influencers, without naming them personally, who have found their destiny in living a longevity life, spending millions on whatever you can imagine on, transporting that message to their crowd. That is a hype topic.
And is that a good message?
Is there a good message?
Is that a good message?
if you believe the blueprint, it's, from my point of view, not a good message. Because the idea of the blueprint, and I mentioned blueprint myself at the beginning, so blueprint is great for business things.
Yeah.
Where you can at least
like a generalized, standardized,
strategy,
theoretical
how to move on, how
Yes.
to open a new market,
Yes.
how to launch a new product. There you need a blueprint because it's basically one process you need to follow through. For health and body, there is nothing like this apart from the basic I mentioned before with behavioral tools, because everybody is different, literally. So in mice, for example, you can, with some substances, you can change the color of the skin of mice. In humans, luckily enough, it's not yet possible. So this means, this oversimplification of longevity is something that is obviously helpful for mediatic focus, because, I mean, nowadays it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like the desire to live forever.
To me, the impression very much is it's a status signaling almost practice. It's almost you conversationally you would hear a lot of people.
It's a new thing.
It's a new thing.
And
it becomes like the quintessential luxury product. Like when you have everything.
If I know that, I'm the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And whenever it's almost like whenever you have every single object or divertissement that you might be able to purchase with money, then the next thing is more time to enjoy it.
Exactly. That's the ultimate goal. But again, this is, if you look at the demographics, the number of people who are facing this second part of their life is more or less at 50% in some, like Italy, for example, but Germany is not far away. So more and more people are old, facing the end of their existence. Yeah. So this also obviously makes this topic so interesting to people that it gets this mediatic of focus. But on the other hand, I mean, you're totally right. There are obviously some great smart marketers who are now selling the ultimate fix, the technology, gene therapy, or you make the infusions. And wouldn't it be great, just to have a quick fix where you go in, you
silver bullet.
Yeah, you silver bullet. You swallow a pill, and the rest is then just happening, and you just continue your daily life without the suffering in terms of optimizing your sleep, sweating, getting out there, and doing really something for yourself. But no, it's typical in the nature of humanity that we always try to find the free lunch, the easy, the quick fix.
Yeah.
But that's the main challenge in the longevity context. There is no such thing as of today.
Yeah. And so take me back a bit to ASPRIVA and sort of, what do you guys do? What's the ethos of the company? Why supplements? And how do you make these supplements?
So the main thing is, ASPRIVA was built on the idea to provide a way to simplify our own longevity routines. So literally, you could even say that Chris and I created products for ourselves, saying, look, I want to have a routine, for example, for gut immune function, or for mood, or for skin health. Yeah, and I want to simplify that, but solely based on a scientific approach in terms of what kind of data does tell me that this ingredient in that dosage is providing at least a minimum potential effect on that goal. So that was the working hypothesis, nothing else. And obviously understanding that we are not the guys, and it's not going to be done by ChatGPT or what other tools, but that we really talk to experts, and they do the literature research. They come up with the formulation ideas. Then so basically to create purely, we develop for 3 years.
Yeah.
Let's face it, I am fairly confident that in the global industry of supplements, you will not find many brands that have created innovative products, developed themselves for 3 years. What you will mostly find is very successful, economically also speaking, copy-paste models. So where you go into, see what sells, sell it cheaper.
And it's just basically about packaging and marketing at the end of the day then.
It's mostly even my best example is always Amazon, for example. There are some cools out there. I think one is Helium, called Helium 10 or so. You order them, subscription. You do the analytics, and it tells you directly which is the category, which product in the category is selling most right now. Where are the trends? And what you do is you take these products, check them, check the ingredient list, copy paste that, send it to a manufacturer, CDMO, say, look, I want to exactly that product. Quote me. And next day you receive the quote. And the next thing is, once I get your order, I need your labels in 2 months. Okay, got it. And I am fairly confident that this process, what I described, holds true for 80% of the industry. So this means formulation, sells good, okay, so must valid, and there's demand, and there's a key question. There's demand, so obviously, economically speaking, business-wise, smart strategy. Ideally, cheaper price point, and then you sell it on Amazon, and up we are. The gun. Then you need to make a registration. At least in Germany, it's just an online form, and then you can sell the product. You have literally not or never seen what kind of raw material is used. You have no idea what quality it is. You buy a black box and you sell a black box. At ASPRIVA, the idea was not to sell supplements, but the idea was to sell simplified routines based on supplements.
Yes.
And this means that you first start with the formulation. Again, this is a topic where we engage with our scientific advisors, but also other external institutes, like, for example, the skin product has been developed with a leading research center in Germany for focusing solely on skin. You develop the formulation, but then you need to create from the formulation a product, because the formulation just means these and these are the ingredients and that dosage. Then you need obviously to make sure that it's consumable, because we are mixing natural resources. And since we are talking about routines, we are talking about 6 to 14 grams per day. This would result in 8 to 25 capsules a day. And obviously that's not a healthy routine, right? So we came up with the idea, okay, so let's again do something else. Instead of capsules, because capsules can be done easily. We could start tomorrow together. A capsules business would require 5 to 10K. We would have a machine here and we just fill the stuff in and we sell it, because it's so it's really ridiculous. There's no complexity. But when you have formulations, so combining different ingredients, obviously capsules is not a suitable approach anymore. You need to find a different approach. So our idea was, okay, let's make it. The only way that is really feasible is let's convert it into a drink. Let's make it a drink, so a water-soluble powder. And here again, if I would have known at the very beginning what we are starting there, most likely we would never have started the thing, because this is again the topic. If you knew everything in advance, decisions would most likely be taken differently. But again, not willing to compromise, you are now forced to think about, okay, how can we make out of this combination of natural ingredients or botanicals, magnesium and stuff, how can we make a drink out of that?
Yeah.
And again, in that stage, the first CDMO provided us with a test mixture in a jar. And I asked, how is it? How is the taste? He said, it's amazing. It's totally fine. We received it. I prepared it, again in the jar. Next step is, I will explain you why jar is the stupidest thing you could do. In a jar, I prepare the drink and I say, oh my God, that doesn't really, no. But on the other hand, I said, okay, it's not really tasting well, but as long as it's healthy, that would be my framework.
Yeah.
But Chris said, are you mad? Nobody is ever going to consume that for a second time. And having said, he has quite a strong background in consumer goods, and he was absolutely right about that. So we suddenly found ourselves with the situation that, okay, instead of now having a formulation where we already spent a year, we thought we are now ready to rumble. We said, no, we are just at the beginning, because now we need to create a formulation. And this is only possible, that is us selecting the raw materials, not buying the black box. Because obviously the CDMO generally doesn't provide the most premium raw materials and stuff. So now we had to go out there and source 70 ingredients, each with at least 4 to 5 alternatives, taste them, combine them ourselves, and really do all the analytical work on the ingredients. And there are extraordinary differences because, for example, you can get an acerola cherry, just to tell you, organic, like in our case, for 1/3 of the price. Why 1/3? Because it has only 1/3 of the fruit content. For you as a consumer, it would also, there would be on the packaging acerola fruit, and on our side you would read organic. Amazing. But we are not obliged anyhow to tell you what's the fruit content. Obviously, we selected the 3 times more expensive one because, again, if we do this for acerola, for the vitamin C, and want to do an amazing routine, obviously we do not care about a product that has only 1/3 of fruit content. So then you understand suddenly how complexity is hidden. And again, we could have done a shortcut. The topic is on this way, on the development of 3 years, there were, the possibility for at least 6 shortcuts. But again, and we are now talking only about product development. And the main thing is, then you understand suddenly, okay, with all the ingredients sourced, now we have our own supplier base and everything. Yeah. The jar cannot be the solution because the jar, if you combine ingredients in a jar, you are never able to replicate the formulation.
Of course.
Yeah, you say, of course, right. But now there are some leading products who do exactly that. So you have a green powder, green, yellow, or blue, whatever color you can imagine.
Let's not name brands.
With 99, also fun part, 99 ingredients in. As like 99 would be some kind of, oh, great, 99. It's just a pickle of everything. But again, you combine them in a jar. You buy that jar. Unfortunately, you're not told that when you now take the scoop into your water, this has nothing to do with the formulation because sedimentation leads to it destroys. And second, the most critical ingredients in that jar are dead after 1 week because they just
they decay after
decay 1 week. It's just a matter of fact. So either you need to
and explain me again the sedimentation part because that's interesting.
Because again, we are talking about different powders.
Yeah.
And also here, when you select the ingredients, I don't want to get too technical, but there are extraordinary differences in terms of particle sizes. collagen, for example.
Yes.
This is also referring to the absorption. Yeah, so there are some structures that are easily absorbed for the goals described, and others that are not absorbed. Or like magnesium, magnesium oxide is not a great source for magnesium because it's basically resorption is very, very limited. So having said that, if you have powders with different particle sizes in a jar, obviously the smallest tend to fall down. So at the end, you either would need to perfectly shake it every single time, and then hopefully you are close to a formulation. Or, and this is what we did, is you start from the very beginning with small pouches.
Yeah.
So where you have a production process, where the shaking happens once,
And then
and directly into the pouches, maintaining the highest possible grade of the integrity of the formulation.
yeah.
And that results in having these pouches. But again, also here, you cannot imagine how difficult it is to get exactly these pouches, because we wanted those pouches on 4-side sealed with two I don't know what's the name, but so that you can easily rip it off.
Yeah.
Because normally, otherwise, the problem is you rip it and it falls apart.
Yeah, totally.
And obviously, we did not want to have Asian foils, but we wanted to have it made in Germany also. So all said, the closer you get, or with every single step, you suddenly open another door. And obviously now the beauty is, after we have concluded that 3-year process, we are now in a situation where we have products that are not only, from my point of view, extremely tasty, but second, they are, in terms of raw ingredients, simply outstanding. They are water soluble.
Yeah.
And this is now the thing that is,
Yeah.
that is not unfortunately present enough in the daily communication about supplements. We also provide the lab reports. Because obviously, with these ingredients, especially if you have botanical ingredients, contamination is an extraordinarily important topic. Like food, I mean, unfortunately, pesticides are everywhere. So even in organic food. So the question is, how much are there? It's not a question about if there are pesticides. If
How
you
much?
if you have botanicals, most likely you will have some. And then the question is at which level? Because just imagine if you buy a supplement that states compliant with EU regulation. Sounds great, but what it really means is, otherwise we would not have been able to sell the product. Second, it does not mean that it's safe for daily use for you, because just imagine if you have heavy metals that are below limits, but you take that every single day, heavy metals remain in your body.
Yeah.
So also that seems to be obvious, but it's not obvious. So there are a lot of tiny things that along the way really cost us a lot of time. But at the end, we created products that are every single is an innovation, and every single facilitates a longevity routine. With last but not least, also sugar-wise, we are talking about, also this is an important thing, because sometimes you find products that have extraordinarily well marketed, like small bottles for your beauty, whatever. But when you do the research, you find out every shot has 3 to 5 grams of sugar. Yeah, so that's something also to avoid.
Which are the most detrimental, I call them nutrients, but let's say things, for lack of a more erudite word, that we consume or that we are exposed to in our daily life? whether it's in food, whether it's in the air, whether it's in whatever.
Wow, I mean, there's an endless list, and obviously it starts with the
ones, let's say, that are avoidable, at least, that people might hear about and be like, okay, maybe I can just invest a little bit more of care and time.
Sure. I mean, the main thing is where you live, right? If you live, for example, in Milan, I don't know how the smog situation is in Paris, but
we are recording in Paris at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
for you guys to know.
Amazing town. But the thing is, first level would be the pollution of the air.
Yeah.
Right? Because already there you have these powders who are so small, so tiny, fragments caused by the smog that, or not caused by the smog, are the result of the smog, but that are literally entering your blood system. And that's unfortunately correlated with, I've read somewhere, if you live in Milan, you are on average losing 4 to 5 years of your life just because of that. Yeah, for the air pollution.
It's one of the cities with the worst air ever.
Yeah, because of the Alps and everything. But just an extreme, this is unfortunately something where you can say, okay, either you change place. Mm-hmm. Okay, the American would say, yeah, you need to buy a filter for your house and you protect it. Okay, but amazing, but
then you still walk in the street.
Yeah,
so.
You talk. So this would be level one. Obviously, as I can highly recommend to live somewhere where you have a high quality of air. Very first. One. Second, obviously, is it's always about what do you absorb in your body at the end. It's air through the lungs, or is what you consume by eating, or drinking. And then you are entering into the area of toxins, because maybe something is old, or dioxins, or glyphosate, pesticides.
Where do you encounter those most? Is there any diet you encounter them everywhere?
When you eat, and this is, let's say, face it. In the past, we were facing starvation somehow, right? People were forced literally to find ways to get food. Okay, so also today, now the discussion about ultra-processed food, everything is bad. Yeah, it's right, but it's still better than starving, right? So,
big time.
And it has also been created for convenience. So if you want convenience, don't cry that it's not healthy. Yeah, but at least it provides some kind of satisfaction as a feeling. It does not provide nutrition, right? So, but whenever you are now eating something today, everything, even biological stuff, you will be exposed to pesticides. So, unfortunately, for the regulation point of view, most likely also because from an administrative point of view, it's practically impossible. Just imagine that every apple sold needs to have a lab report. But I mean, with all the industrialization of the food chains, it's obvious that pesticides have been useful, to maximize output. 100%. But on the other hand, now we are suffering from the fact that now they are everywhere. And again, we do not know much.
Yeah.
So this means those things have had a short-term positive net impact on how we on the output of food. But on the other hand, we literally do not know the long-term health impact.
Yeah.
This is just, how much is really known about that? There are a lot of question marks around. So if you want to be on the safe side, so to say, yes, you would buy organic always. Because at least there, the contamination should be at the lowest level, maximum due to cross-contamination and stuff. But if you buy cheap in a supermarket, and this is unfortunately something that most people need to do in order to survive economically, and then you are unfortunately automatically exposed to more of those contaminants. So therefore, it's nothing to be taken lightly. It's something that is, if you talk about longevity and health, I think it's something that should be stressed a lot more.
So we're transitioning from a world where luxury was an extra watch, an extra car, or an extra piece of clothing, to now luxury is a vegetable garden.
Yeah, Apple killed the watch anyhow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right. I mean, again, during youth, you might find it cool to have a cool watch.
Yeah.
Because you think to be cooler than others or whatever. So it's a superficial fix.
Yeah.
It's like I mean, if you nothing against Botox on this stuff, right? But if you fix on a superficial level, it's not really the longevity approach.
Yeah.
Longevity is about fixing yourself in the invisible level also, right? So the thing is not about, although sometimes you literally can see the effects, at least after a couple of months, if you change your lifestyle accordingly. And again, this is not about becoming religious, like, oh God, now it's 9:30, I need to go to bed. Enjoy it if you can, and stay. But it's about the average behavior. So the thing is, yes, it's the ultimate luxury because it shows you that you are the master of yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it strongly correlates also with your economic situation. If you are financially worse off, with all due respect, it's crazy to believe that a person is quitting a night shift job just because he or she knows that it causes, or the probability for cancer increases significantly with night shift jobs. The person is just forced to do the job, right? So being economically free means also that you can ideally, and this is for me the ultimate status symbol of luxury, that I decide when I wake up, or my cycle, so that I organize my daily plan in such a way that it accommodates my plan and not external. But this is the ultimate goal. So the thing is, obviously, longevity at the first two levels is not necessarily something that you need to invest a lot in, but you should or could, if you are interested, rethink certain things. Like, for example, take sleep is my preferred example. Many people suffer from bad sleep. Yeah, and sleep, especially the older you get, regeneration becomes substantial. Yeah, like for example, last year I did an Olympic in Heidelberg in the Olympic Center, a performance test for my cardiovascular fitness and stuff. So with VO2 max and all the stuff, you do all the crazy stuff. And if you compare those values with the elite athletes of today, you are definitely getting a depression, because you see age compared, the body goes into one direction, and that's south. This means your bodily functions degenerate.
From 50 years.
Degenerate. So if you compare,
from any age.
If I compare my VO2 max and performance data with Pogacar, I think he's the one and only in bicycle sports right now, right? If you compare those values, you're just starting to cry. So this means your body, when you're 20, 18, unfortunately, at that age, in most of the cases, you do not know how amazing your situation is and how much you can actually do with your body.
Yeah.
But when you're getting closer to 50 and across 50, your body by itself not decomposes, but it reduces its abilities. And so regeneration becomes always more important.
Yeah.
And this means for sleep, for example, sleep quality, the older you get, becomes more important. It's not like others say, okay, I'm going to die, then I have enough time to sleep.
Yeah.
But that's not the topic. Regeneration means that you need, or your organism needs time to literally clean out the brain, basically provide you with the strength for the next day. And if you look at that goal number one, just by, for example, reducing the alcohol intake in the evening, the timing of the meal, what you eat, just this alone, combined with how you sleep,
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of environment you sleep, temperature, light control, whatever, noise control. Just these things combined can substantially improve your sleep quality. And this is, from my point of view, would always be the very, very first step on every kind of longevity journey. Yeah, sleep. Because, I mean, if you are, sleep is not only regeneration, but it's literally also a cleaning process.
What about meditation?
Amazing. I'm just not able to, unfortunately. My mind is so... I always try it, and I'm totally... and I see the benefit, but I'm, in that case, really lacking the regularity as a routine. And that's definitely on my so-called bucket list to take more seriously. I'm already great. I'm happy when I do my yoga. That is extremely helpful. It's you can say it's kind of mixture, but true meditation, I believe, is essential. Yeah. Really focus. My approach would now be
whichever form of meditation, right?
Just solitude, quietness, and self-reflection. Let it be 5 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. Just trying to shut off the thinking, and this is where I'm unfortunately failing. So really and this is something I need to fix in terms of how to use meditation to because the brain is the ultimate treasure. You can there are great studies that show if you can positively impact your health as well as negatively, just by the way you think or what you think.
100%.
And there are really some amazing studies 100%. Out there that just by the way how you tackle things, you can destroy yourself or you can really improve yourself. And this also by the way you breathe. Breath work. Breath work is, for example, I think it was 5 years ago when the book came out from James Nestor, The Art of Breath. I think an amazing book. Obviously, criticism is always allowed, but I don't care about that. What I learned there is something that really changed my life because when I do a sport, whenever I only breathe through my nose solely. And the difference is substantial. And I also did the mouth taping for the night, also substantial difference on my sleep values. Yeah, you see, these are things that you can literally operationalize without spending $300-400 for an infusion of something.
Where just put exactly a sticker on your.
Exactly. Please take you should take this medical tape recommended in the book, not a sticker. That is because sometimes you need to open the mouth at night.
Yes.
But so there are really things for I call it a longevity journey that are bulletproof because you can feel yourself that it works or not. So it's not that you do something in the hope of becoming centenarian. That would be ridiculous. Yeah. Because, like this Blue Zones story, it's an amazing story. Beautiful, country-wise also, location-wise, amazing story.
Sardinia,
Japan. Yeah, it's amazing. But sorry, with all due respect, scientifically speaking, there are a lot of question marks. I always say, if you are getting 100 living on that island with the need to walk every day 10 kilometers, you are an absolutely top-notch person. All the others already died. Yeah. Right? Let's keep it like that.
Totally. But I think also what it was interesting about the Blue Zones is that older people are not sort of put away when they're old. They sort of are
social integrated.
They're social integrated. They live with family. Yeah. This I think happens a lot in America, for instance. It's almost like, when you're old and you don't
get rid of.
You're off, especially because their society in America is very focused on work. And obviously your value into society.
You're no longer.
If you're not working, you're not providing. And so you're just basically shipped to Florida to play golf And I think that's
if you're lucky.
If you're lucky, if you can afford it, and if you're lucky. And I think that, sorry for my American friends, because I love the country and I have many, but it's awful. It's absolutely barbaric. I think older people, first of all, have so much to teach to younger people, and secondly, I think it's just great to integrate, people of all ages within the social.
Yeah, and then this is actually great that you say it, because I think in Italy, where it's more common that this integration really literally happens, either for purely economic reasons, I mean,
yes,
just
of course.
just walk through every single town in Italy. I mean, my preferred image is the image of these 4 or 5 elderly men sitting there on a bench and chatting.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
oftentimes looking at a construction site.
Or playing boccia or whatever in a most ideal way, or the women cooking together. And so this is, I think, again, okay, statistically speaking, in fact, in Italy, there is a little higher number of centenarians
yes.
Than in Germany. But we are talking about, I think it's 0.6 people of 1,000 become 100 plus in Italy, and in Germany it's 0.5 or so. But most of them also in Italy live in retirement homes,
yes,
and they are not autonomous. So basically, at the end, lifespan-wise, there is a difference, but it's not substantial. Yeah. But the key thing, therefore, again, about longevity is, the social relationships are very important. This means that the way you participate in a construct of friendships
yes.
Is extraordinarily impactful on your overall health.
So much.
Yeah, because it obviously, the why, I don't know why, mostly maybe because of it reduces the risk of getting into depression, and obviously depression
has a high correlation with all sort of diseases.
Is the older you get, the probability increases that you are getting a depression. But yes, sure. I mean, now I'm already getting old, so the topic is how many years are left, and the question is basically, what can you do in order to maintain your autonomy for as much years as possible? So the ideal goal of longevity is you die healthy.
Yeah.
This is the ideal goal, that it switch off one day, and that's instead of the today you have unfortunately way too many fragile years caused by different things, but where people are literally losing their control over their lives, staying in care facilities, or worst case, maybe even in hospitals.
Yeah, 100%. One final question as we wrap up. It's sort of something that I'm trying to establish as a part of the podcast, recurring part of the podcast. Let's say that you are due to go into space for the foreseeable future, decades probably, a couple of decades, or I don't know, maybe the rest of your life, who knows. And you're allowed to bring into your capsule, which is very spacious and, allows for a lot of amenities potentially. You can bring with you 3 luxuries. What would you bring with yourself?
Dead or living?
Living that go crazy. Like it could be an elephant, it could be, a plant, it could be a book, whatever you think. It could be a car, it could be anything.
No, really, literally, it's a difficult question. First thing is, now excluding family members, obviously in France,
you will be alone, sadly, yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it would be my dog, for sure, dog, longevity dog. Second, it would definitely be a hi-fi system, because music is extraordinarily important. So with a big hard drive, permitting an extensive list of music. And Yeah, the third thing is very, very difficult. There is a great bed already, right? Or that?
Yeah, I mean, you can have an extra grey bed.
So I know I would most likely take my rowing machine.
Amazing.
My beloved. I would also take the bicycle, but then I would need to skip the hi-fi. So I prefer to go on the rowing.
You may have that.
Amazing. Perfect.
Thank you so much, Antonio. It's been really great fun. Really
Thanks
great conversation.
for having me. It was really a pleasure, and I can't believe that we already talked for 2 hours now.
So we have.
Thanks for inviting me here in Paris.
It's amazing. No, it's great to be here, and hopefully we'll do it another time.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.